Now, you've heard us talk on this episode in the show about offensive coordinator attributes that we are looking for, what Jeff Hafley has to do, some possible names that they might look at, giving you a little bit of some of the backgrounds on some of those coaches as well. You can go back in our archives and find those. But today's show is based off a request from one of the readers who wanted to know who I want as offensive coordinator. Well, I'm going to give you my answer. I'm going to give you my top 3 candidates today, and I'll give you a little bonus one as well. Make sure to listen so you hear about who I choose on today's Locked On BC.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. This is Locked On BC. I am AJ Black. I'm the editor of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Sports Network. This is Locked On BC, your only daily Boston College podcast. And I'm so glad you're here to join me to talk about today's episode, which is going to get into potential offensive coordinators. And you guys have asked me, and I want to give you who my top 3 choices would be. Now, to give you a little bit of boundaries on where I'm going with this, there's 2 things that I really want to make sure that's clear before I give you who I think. First of all, it has to be realistic. We're not going to be pulling an offensive coordinator from a Power 5 program that is better than BC, which is most of them, or can afford more than BC, which again is most teams. Also, I am not going to, because BC's never going to beat those guys. I'm also not going to pick an offensive coordinator who runs a system that is just absurd, that in terms of like what Hafley is doing. He's not going to be running an air raid offense. He's not going to be running, some really quick tempo spread. So we're not going out there and getting, a guy that runs the area. We're not going to go after Mississippi State's offensive coordinator or Washington State's offensive coordinator or quarterbacks coach. It doesn't make any sense. So the 3 that I picked today are coaches that fit into a mold, of potential coaches that I feel Jeff Hafley would go for, but there's a little twist to them as well. And we'll kick it off with my one of my top choices, and it's a up and coming young coach. His name's Corey Dennis. He's the quarterback coach at Ohio State, as you can see in the picture. He's with CJ Stroud here. This is a guy who is going to have a big future ahead of him. When you have worked with some of these, Ohio State quarterbacks, you have a background that I feel would be great for Emmett Morehead. You would love to have a guy with that kind of pedigree working with Morehead. And I think Corey Dennis would be a great fit for BC. Now, the big question is, could BC pull him from Ohio State? I have to wonder if it's a possibility, because the road to him getting any sort of promotion has been blocked. Justin Fry is the assistant head coach now, and I know some folks have been asking about him. I mean, he's assistant head coach at Ohio State. He's not coming here. You have their new offensive coordinator, Brian Hartline, who we mentioned last time as another hot up-and-coming coach that I just thought BC had no chance of getting, but he was someone that you could look at as well. They're all kind of blocking his upward mobility. Now, to be fair, he could just wait for another program to get a better opportunity. And that seems like it might be a wise move for him, but he has a lot that you would want. He works with a guy that Jeff Hafley trusts in Ryan Day. He works an offense that might have a little bit more zip to it, just a little bit, than Boston College has. And he has the pedigree. He's worked with Dwayne Haskins, Justin Fields, CJ Stroud, and even Quinn Ewers. So I look at him and I say that in terms of like guys that would be like, ooh, that's an exciting hire for BC. Corey Dennis would do that for me. I really think, he would be the home run offensive coordinator for BC. And the only, the negative too is that he doesn't have any experience as a signal caller. I don't care. You know what? At this point, I'd rather have a younger guy, excuse me, like Dennis with a huge upside that you're taking a chance on and maybe paying him a little bit more. I've heard, I think if I remember correctly, we saw that Frank Signetti was making somewhere around like $750,000 as OC. And I don't know what McNulty was making, probably something similar. I'm sure he wasn't making that much more. If they could up it just a little bit and get a guy like this, it would be a big hit. And I bet he'd be great on the recruiting trail. He could really sell a vision and give BC a really identity, something fresh that I think adds a little bit more than just that pro style boring. This is what we do over and over again. So Corey Dennis is my first choice. Number 2. Okay, Mark Whipple. Hear me out here, folks. Some of you may think, okay, Mark Whipple, this is the former UMass head coach. Why the heck would BC be interested in him? Well, he's old, first of all. That's a little strike. But I've seen people asking about Steve Logan and Dana Bible, and both of them are hitting 70 soon too. So I look at Whipple, and Whipple, yes, he's older, but he is seen as one of the brighter offensive minds in college football. I mean, probably that was said about 10 years ago, but he's gone to Pitt. He worked at Nebraska. He wasn't very successful at Nebraska, but remember with Pitt in 2021, he had a top 20 offense, and that was what Nebraska wanted him for. So he still has it. And then, much of that could have been because of Kenny Pickett. Now, the negative with Whipple is age, first of all. Secondly, he would be a move in the different direction to Hafley because there's no real connections to him. Whipple has not coached with Hafley. He doesn't have a ton of connections there. But could he be someone that Hafley goes out and tries to get because we've seen him be successful? I don't think he'd be a bad option. I'm honestly, I think what he would bring is a different a different mentality to that offense. He even when he was at the UMass, it wasn't just like straight up power. He did a lot of spread. He tried some different things, and he could do all of that with an offense. I think that has more weapons than Nebraska had last year. Nebraska had no offense. They're terrible. So I like Mark Whipple. I think this would be a fun hire. Again, it's not like someone from Rutgers. That's another thing I don't want. I really don't want just a retread from Rutgers. But we'll get into that in a moment because I'm going to shoot myself in the foot with my last choice. And so you're going to want to hear who my last choice is in just a moment. But before we do that, I'm going to tell you about our good friends over at BetOnline. They're your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there. From pro football to college bowl season to basketball World Cup, we've got it all at betonline.net. Now, I was looking at that spread for the UNC game on Wednesday, 14.5. I thought UNC, if they shot anywhere near the way that Miami and Wake Forest were going to do, BC was going to have a chance. So if I went on to BetOnline, I probably wouldn't have done so well. But if you were, a big time BC follower, thought they were going to get it, hey, you would have made some money on BetOnline. So if you love sports podcasts, you can even find those at BetOnline as well. They're the fastest and easiest way to get your betting info. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. This is Locked On BC. I am your host, AJ Black. Thank you all for listening. And if you haven't done so already, I have a big favor for you. Please, please, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are 3 subscribers away from 700. We didn't move yesterday. And I know we've had a lot of listeners. So if you haven't done so already, subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. It's super easy. And you could join our comment section and get all your videos sent directly to you so you don't miss anything. That's a great deal right there. Now, if you're in the comment section now, I have a question to ask you. Who do you want to see as BC's offensive coordinator? Hit me up in the comments. I want to make sure that I get a chance to read them at the end of this segment. So hit up who you want as BC's offensive coordinator. We'll get to those in just a moment. So I just gave you two. I said Corey Dennis, Mark Whipple would be two names I would be interested in. And then I started to contradict myself as we were heading into the break when I said, I don't want any retreads. I don't want a Cleveland Browns offensive coordinator or, positional coach. I don't want anyone from Rutgers. Well, except for one guy. There is one coach from Rutgers that, maybe I'd be a little bit interested in. And that would be Sean Gleason. Sean Gleason, now hear me out. There's red flags with this, but I think there's also some reasons to think this could be a smart hire too. Sean Gleason is a good offensive mind. He had a very good year at Oklahoma State. He was an offensive coordinator there, and then was hired away by Rutgers. Rutgers fired him in the middle of last year. If you remember, BC played against Rutgers, and I'm sure you can't forget it, in that season opener last season. And there were times where they were running three quarterbacks. They had all sorts of different gadget plays. And then they went to just pounding the ball down BC's throat. And that was a lot of Gleason. Well, everything he has done at that beginning went away midway through the season as Rutgers got tired of him and fired him. Now, I don't see that as a huge red flag for Gleason, because Rutgers, as we saw, didn't have much in terms of weapons. Their quarterbacks, they made some plays against BC and they were able to run the ball here and there. But I think a lot of that was just they had a good offensive line and were able to bully BC. They had no wide receivers. Their quarterbacks weren't very good. And so he didn't have much to work with. I think if he had more of the weapons that BC has, like you have Emmett Moorhead, and say what you will about Moorhead, I think is better and has a higher upside than anyone on Rutgers roster right now. Johnny Lang in the other two quarterbacks who are blanking right now. He's better than them. You could do more with him. You have better wide receivers. Ryan O'Keefe and Joseph Griffin are better than the wide receivers they had. I think that he has more of an opportunity to do what he is good at with a roster like BC has and has put together. He's relatively young. I think he's well thought of. I think he has a good upside to him. I think Rutgers kind of cut bait pretty quick. And a lot of that could be Schiano too. Schiano's got quite the personality to him. He could have just gotten tired of him and wanted somebody different. But I think Sean Gleason wouldn't be the worst. The one negative to this would be that I think BC fans would have a real hard time swallowing this one. Hiring someone from Rutgers, a team that, you look down upon, you saw play poorly offensively, and then go out and get a guy they fired, that'd be a real hard sell for the fan base. So he might be a bit of a push. And so he would be my third one, and then there's like pie in the sky guys. And this is more of this one would be a real reach. Mike LaFleur. I'd love to see him, but he doesn't hit my realistic options. Some NFL team's going to scoop him up. He was an offensive coordinator for the Jets last year. He worked with the 49ers, helped them get to the Super Bowl. I love what he can do on offense, and he has connections to Hafley, but I don't see him as realistic. And then I told you when I started this off, I said there would be one bonus guy that isn't in my top three, but would be a great fit for BC. And drum roll, please. Our bonus person is Steve Addazio. No. I am, he's a guy. Listen, hear me out. He's got SEC experience. He's been an offensive coordinator for Florida. He knows how to fix an offensive line. He knows this program. Get him in here. Make him offensive coordinator. No, I'm just kidding. Do not bring Steve Addazio here. It was just a joke. I delivered it poorly, but Steve Addazio should not be offensive coordinator. So those are my three. Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Hit me up in the comment section. And head over to youtube.com and hit, that's usually where I respond back. So if you want to get your voice heard by me and get some thoughts, that's where you can hit it. And we've had a quiet comment section today. Sometimes it's louder than others, and we're in the off season, so it gets a little quiet. Marty Party 03, who's one of our loyal listeners and one of our best commenters right now. He says Bill O'Brien. Yeah, that that doesn't hit the realistic factor very well. Bill O'Brien, I know he says it's a long shot in the next one, but Bill O'Brien is probably going to be with he'll be with the Patriots or Alabama, or some other big time program. I'd love to see him here. I'd love to see him be a head coach at some point. I know you said that later, but Bill O'Brien, I don't think he would be a realistic choice. But thank you, Marty, for your comments. I love having you here, bud. All right, in our final segment, we're going to hit recruiting because it has been a hectic last couple of days for BC on the road, as staff has spread out across the country to look for future BC players. I'm going to get into some of the things that Jeff Hafley might be running into after a 3-9 season. Now, if you know me, you know I love Built Bars. But are you looking for a delicious treat that but don't want all the fats and calories? Then you got to try a Built Bar. We just got through the holidays, and I know my goal is to eat a little healthier this year. And if you want to eat healthier but don't want to compromise taste, then man, I got the thing for you. You got to try Built. With Built, health is actually tasty. Seriously, they're so delicious you won't think they're good for you. They're perfect for your New Year's resolution. And they come in unbelievable flavors that are 100% covered in chocolate, like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. Man, I'm just getting hungry talking about this. I hate this ad. I hate talking about Built Bar because I just get so hungry because they are so good. Now, you don't want to wait to get if you don't want to wait to get a box, get good news for you. We've been talking about Built forever and Built.com, but you can go to Walmart or Sam's Club, and they got them there now too. So head over to your Sam's Club or Walmart or go to Built.com and order yourself a box. You will not regret it. They are delicious. They're a great meal substitute, and they keep you full. Head to Built.com and use promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off at Built.com. This is AJ Black. As I said, I am the editor of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Sports Network. And one of the big things that I do on the site, one of the big focuses is, you can go to other sites and they all have their specialties. BC Interruption does a great job with covering everything, like women's hockey and baseball and, you name it, hockey, goal by goal. They do a lot there and they do a great job. I put a lot of focus on recruiting. It's something that I really am interested in. I get to talk to recruits. I've talked to so many from around the country. And what's going on right now is that BC is in a live period, meaning that they can go out and offer and get those class of 24 kids starting to look at Boston College. And it's exciting time if you're really like looking at how future recruiting classes are going to start to shape up. Now, the staff has been everywhere. I've seen offers for future classes in California, Florida, Texas. The one that really interested me, Arkansas. Can anyone out there remember a time BC has had a player from Arkansas? Well, they offered 2 or 3 kids out this week from that state. They offered kids from Massachusetts, Cam Montero, who's a big wide receiver from Brockton, who had absurd numbers last year, finally got his BC offer. And he talked to me, and I have an interview with him up on Eagle Insider. And he's not related to Aaron Montero, if you're wondering. They're both from Brockton, same last name, but not related, I asked. But my question isn't just about all these kids, because BC can hand out, offers like they're candy. But I wonder what new challenges Boston College is facing on the recruiting trail after a 3-9 season. Now, Jeff Hafley, when he came in 2020 and 2021, he had a unique advantage because he could sell his vision with very little, behind him in terms of like actual results. You can sell pie in the sky visions to kids. And then in 2022, and even a little bit with 2023, you could kind of write off a lot of it with injuries. Like honestly, you could tell kids, we had a really good program, but this in 2021, we lost Phil Dracovic and it was a tough year to get back on our feet. And then we lost our entire offensive line, but you're starting to move out now. A 3-9 season is a 3-9 season, and other coaches are going to use that against you. It's the icky part of recruiting, but folks, it happens. And Jeff Hafley is going to have to figure out ways around that, because if he wants to recruit at the level that he wants to get the guys with athleticism and length and all the good features that he needs, he's going to have to beat out other Power 5 programs for these kids. He can't just go out there and be like, and just assume that every kid that gets, an offer from Virginia Tech is going to smoke him on the trail. He's going to have to figure out how to fix this, how to get his vision out there. Now, the first thing he did, I feel like that could help on the offensive side of the ball, which was the major issue, is firing John McNulty. Honestly, like, it sounds cold, but firing the guy that was the architect behind your really bad offense kind of clears the way for you to kind of scapegoat him a little bit on the trail and say, look, we're going to have a new guy here. And this guy we're going to bring in, whoever this is exciting. He's going to do a lot of different things that we didn't see under the last guy. And I think I want to see you be part of it, because I could see you doing X, Y, and Z. That could be a good thing for them. On the defensive side of the ball, you're seeing guys develop. You could say to a defensive lineman, look at what Donovan Ezaraku has done. He's gone up from being, a linebacker that's kind of morphed to an edge defender. Look at, he's one of the leading sack defensive lineman with sacks last year. I helped develop him. I got him there. Secondary. I got these guys to get to that next level. So there's pieces there. It's just going to be tougher because the results aren't there. And as much as Jeff Hafley and his staff can sell a vision, they're on year 4 now. And it's going to be hard to go against some of these other schools. Now, luckily, you got Syracuse, but they don't really, honestly, folks, they don't really recruit against Syracuse. Syracuse goes for a different level of kids. And I don't know if it's an academic issue or what it is, but they don't usually go against them. But schools like Virginia Tech, they were terrible last year. UVA was terrible last year. Michigan's going to beat them until BC figures out some way to be really good. They're another team. Penn State, same thing. So are they really that far behind that they were last year? Because Virginia Tech is like one of their big rivals in terms of on the recruiting trail. I don't see it as that bad. They're definitely lower, but it's going to be up to the staff. How can they go out there and connect with these kids to say that, like, yeah, we've had bad years. We've had some tough times, but we're going to get this. We're going to get past this, and we want to see you be part of this. I think they can do it. Say what you will about Hafley on the trail, but he sells a vision to kids. And this isn't just me. This is me talking as someone who covers this, who talks to recruits. He's a guy that sells a vision kids connect with, and he's got other guys on his staff. I look specifically at guys like Azar Abdul-Rahim, Savon Huggins, Darrell Wyatt. Those 3 guys specifically, I think, do a heck of a job of connecting with kids at a deep level. And they're all there again this year. And we'll have to see who the offensive coordinator is, because he might help as well. And we'll have to see how they're off, how they attack that. But if you're out there and you are thinking, what am I saying? I want to learn more about BC recruiting. I want to learn about these kids. I want to hear what they're telling, the staff are telling him, who's coming on campus. You need to become a member of Eagle Insider. It is literally the cost of a cup of coffee a month. It's less with inflation right now. You can become a member, and I believe right now you even get, I believe you get Paramount Plus with it too. So you sign up now, just double check it. I'm not 100% sure. Just read the fine print when you do it, but sign up. You'll get all my insider information. You get Mitch's. If you like listening to Mitch has said he's doing like a notebook on what Logan Taylor looks like. He does a lot of game film. We are the premier Boston College site out there in terms of in-depth information and insider knowledge. We can't be beat. And I want you to become part of it. We have a great community on there. Our message board is awesome. We have some really great commenters on there who are as passionate about it as you are. So come over to Eagle Insider, sign up, get a year subscription. It's not that expensive, and it is worth every dime. I've heard it from so many of our new subscribers. We have a ton of them. We'd love to have you be part of it as well. So subscribe today. Well, this is AJ Black. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back again tomorrow. we'll talk a little bit more about recruiting and transfer portal news and anything else that breaks in the next 24 hours. And hey, if we have a new offensive coordinator, which I don't think we will, I'll be sure to get that. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. I forgot to tell you that. Hit me up on Twitter at AJBlack_BC. Love to see you there. Just say, hey, AJ, I heard you on the podcast. Introduce yourself. I love meeting and talking to my listeners as well. And thank you all for listening. We'll see you again soon, and take care.